concentrating, like for myself and my community, I'm doing the youth, the youth spin-offs. And now it's grown to other communities who want to start their youth engagement in the spin-offs. It was always open to them. I just kind of emphasize that it's a youth. It's still the adults want to attend, and I don't say, no, you're not a youth, let me check your ID or whatever. But, you know, I said, as long as you act like a youth, then I'll let you in. But you have to get your hands just as dirty as they are. And it's usually, you know, like I said, it's around love and food. And so, you know, we're kind of generous in that nature.
Right. The spin-off groups is the Diné iiná's kind of its main gateway to the communities. Right now, we have a spin-off group that's established in the Torreon community, actually in Tseke. And then a new formed group is established in the Western Navajo Nation out in Coal Mine Mesa. And then the two groups that Roy and I have started, and where all the other spin-offs kind of stemmed from, is the Table Mesa spin-off group where I'm from, and then the Tisnazbus youth spin-off group. And there's another spin-off group that's happening in Ganado, Arizona, and they call themselves the Warp spin-off group. And then another spin-off group in Sayali. So with these spin-off groups, it's a way of introducing new techniques, and it's not limited to just working with wool. You could be a quilter, or you could be someone who is doing crocheting perhaps, or knitting. Or you can come to the spin-off group and share your story of how when you were a child you made your first sheep rattle, perhaps. So we've noticed that organization, when the spin-off groups meet together, there is something very magical happening. You see the elders, the hope in their eyes, and they see that the Navajo pastoral way of life is returning, because some of their young adults, their young community members are getting involved. And it's not only seen as grandmother's art weaving, our grandfather's art weaving, or even just looking at sheep herding as an elder person's job. It's not being, so with the organization, with the spin-offs, it's a new way to communicate with the communities.
And also, earlier when we were talking, you had mentioned that there was, you're doing stuff here in the community based more on like sheep management. Is that something that if somebody's interested in doing, they would talk to you about, or is that just something that you do, like since spring's coming up, things are going to start happening?
Right. Yeah, well, these upcoming workshops right now, we're getting ready to start with a series of them, and they're getting planned now with the season. In March, we started the first workshop in November, and that one there was, the title of it was Ram Selection. Reasons why you want to pay attention to selecting a specific ram for the herd, and then also strategies of downsizing the herd. These are knowledges that that most sheep herders have, but some of the new sheep herders and flock owners, such as myself, I've been raising sheep now for a little over 10 years. So these workshops help even me to ensure that my Navajo Chiro sheep is receiving the best management practice they can. So in November, we started off with the ram selection. And then coming up in March 1st, we're going to be doing another workshop. And that's going to be focusing on your ranch management techniques, about record keeping perhaps, because a lot of people supplement their flocks now with corn or with hay. The days of herding sheep every day out in the range, those days are not with us anymore because of the change in the weather and the change of the environment. Specifically where I'm from Table Mesa, it's becoming a desert there. So we cannot herd sheep every day. So in the summer months, they're in the mountains foraging the sheep. And then during the late fall and an early spring, that's when we're supplementing them with grass hay and then corn. So we see that there's a lot of flock owners in the same situation I am. So with these record-keeping management skills and workshops, that's going to help me to save money. It's going to help me to improve the corral, perhaps. And so the workshops, they're getting designed upon the season now. So that's how we're seeing the best effect of the workshops. We're going to have workshops after the Sheep is Life also, the Sheep is Life celebration after the month of June. And other workshops are focusing on value-added workshops. And value-added means like getting one fleece of wool and doing something to that wool to increase its value. So if you shear the sheep and you have one fleece and you don't clean it or you don't wash it, maybe its value is $20 perhaps. But if you take the time to clean it and wash it, its value is going to triple, maybe to $60. And if you spin it into skeins of wool and then sell it by the ounce, you're increasing its value again. So we also focus on value-added workshops in the different capacities. You could add value to your sheep by changing the way you manage them. You could maybe make them some sweaters, perhaps, if you live in an area where it's very dusty, because the dirt is what gets into the wool. And when you shear your sheep, if you're shearing onto very dirty, dusty, sandy wool, your clippers are going to get dull. So to prevent that, you want to create maybe a sweater. A sheep socks is what you would call it. So maybe introducing new techniques like that, or maybe even creating a certain type of feeder for your sheep. Or, there's many different techniques that we're bringing to the community.
And that's really, good that you're able to provide that. And, in saying that, what do you hope this organization will do for the community, in the future, 5 years, 10 years from now?
Well, I have great hopes for the community since I've been working with them intensively for the past 2 years. My hope would be for the communities across the Navajo Nation to take full advantage of what Diné iiná has to offer. And when I say full advantage, I mean like calling to our office and asking us to come on out to your community and ask us to maybe teach the children how to card wool, how to spin wool, how to learn how to weave. So my hope is that the community realizes that the Diné iiná organization is a people's community. And we cannot function without the Navajo people's input. We cannot. We work for the community. We're a public service for our community. And so my hope also is that my grandchildren can continue to learn the pastoral way of life, because that's what sustained us. So my hope is that 5 generations, another director is sitting right here where I am, and then another international fiber artist traveler is sitting right here also, and talking, perhaps with another Roberta Diswood that's going to be having a show to the greater Navajo Nation, beyond Navajo Nation. So, we have many. I hope that we can continue the Navajo way of life with the sheep.
And how about you, Roy?
And she had most of it up, but I just want to share a little of the history of the sheep that we're referring to. We didn't kind of, and it's the Navajo churro sheep, and how it has become a part of our culture, our traditions, and how important that is to us. We've heard stories of when the sheep weren't here yet, but we would carry little fetishes that resemble them. We hear stories of people saying they are 102 years old, and they're sharing these stories and telling us. They were always embedded in our songs and in our chants and in our prayers. I personally never thought I would see the sheep, but I saw it. Now that I've seen it, it's been a part of my flock. Now I've seen it being passed on. I'm comfortable. I'm ready for the next journey. That's the hope that I think I want to share, and then also to keep it alive. There's just so many things from sheep that you can not only achieve individually, but as a community as well. It teaches so much. If you apply the standards of science or mathematics, or even the language, and whatever language it is, it's immensible what the next generation can do with it. What I want to also include is our weaving. They were utilitarian when we were, our ancestors were doing it. It's moved on, and I always try to use this from being a utilitarian, whether there be blankets, bags, saddle blankets, horse implements, and then its next place of honor, the shoulder blanket. And from it, came the designs into Pendletons. But for us weavers, we continue among our kins of weaving for each other. Now we weave for the commercial industry. The both of us are I guess we can call ourselves renowned fiber artists. And we've taken and evolved some of our designs where they're modern scapes. Some of them are interpreted into landscapes. Some of the influential artisans that are out there, like D.Y. Begay, if you look at her work, Melissa Cody, very geometric, but very modern. And they're doing their solo shows. These are some of the things that we've approached, and we've set the new standards of, this is how the trading postman wants it. Wants it this size, this color, and then this design. We're passing that stage. We've become our own sole proprietors. We've become our own marketing, persons. And so that's what DBI is, and that's what it will continue to be. And one of the things I just want to mention is a lot of our workshops that we offer through Diné iiná are coming from the people. They're surveyed in some cases. Some cases, they're gathered at a community spin-off. There may be a consensus of people who say, well, we want to learn how to do the two-face design, things like that. Or we want to learn how to castrate, or dot tails. And then there could be a request saying, well, holistically, without using modern applications, is there a way? Are there songs that are that come from doing that sort of thing? And there are. And so it's at their request, and it's also at the people, meaning the instructors, as to what their restrictions might be, and in some cases there's none, and so it being, I like what you said earlier, that it's the people, our people, it's their organization, and it's always been. It's just that certain communities held it in their communities for a set time, and it's welcome to do that, and we encourage that. And that's why we, and every year it seems to grow and to grow, and I think in the future that's what we want it to do. Another little segment of the history of the sheep, which survived alongside the long walk. They hid in the canyons or in the high mesas or in the higher mountains of Navajo Mountain. Our own people, our ancestors, our grandparents took them there. They withstood